Welcome to the Mariana Dalto Show, where we help entrepreneurs simplify marketing, amplify their visibility, and scale their business smart. Today's guest is Mitch Carson. He is an international speaker, author, pitchman, and media credibility expert who has helped hundreds of business owners land real TV and radio exposure. If you ever wonder how some experts become go-to names in their space seemingly overnight, this episode is for you. Welcome, Mitch, to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mariana.
It's been a pleasure having you, and I'm so excited to talk about this topic. So first, Mitch, tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got into publicity and media training, how everything began.
Gosh, well, I'm going to age myself and date myself if I tell the truth.
Sure, why not?
Why not? So my nose doesn't grow. I better tell the truth. And I got into television by accident. I owned an advertising agency for a number of years. And prior to that, I was working in manufacturing and learned the value of marketing and publicity because I was manufacturing products for inventors. And then something crossed my desk which required demonstration using media. And I knew, okay, then I got it on Home Shopping Network, and that launched a shift in my career where I was then selling other people's products on live TV and leveraged the power of media because I used that credibility to then sell more products. So there was an ROI, return on investment, very quickly. And I was able to use that commercial, all that footage of being on Home Shopping Network to then get into big box retailers like Bed Bath & Beyond. They're no longer around. They have since closed their doors.
That's sad, by the way.
Yeah. Well, and I got into Home Depot and a whole host of other big box retailers. This is going back a few years. This was the 90s. Mm-hmm. And 96 through 98, I sold products on Home Shopping Network, and all of a sudden this huge light bulb went on. My gosh, you can really turbocharge your sales and marketing efforts by leveraging television, because during those days, I had about 5 million viewers watching my live television segments, selling products. And there was one product, then another, and you had to become quite proficient at putting your emphasis on the product that was placed in front of you for a period of time, usually 8 minutes to 15 minutes. They would cut you off once your sales started to decline. Yeah. So it was very business oriented. It was all about the metrics. And because you saw live how many products you were selling because it showed on the screen. 1,500, 1,700, 2,200. And then if it started to slow down, you would then get a wrap up, like we're wrapping this segment up, boom. Then they would go off to the next product to sell. So it taught me a lot of what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong. And if you don't sell, you're pretty much fired. You've got to sell. There's a useful life of a product. And then it goes away. I mean, at some point, certain products just aren't appealing anymore. If we were in the horse and buggy business, there's no salesperson in the world that could sell that today. Nobody's going to buy a horse and buggy. We have cars, and products run through their cycle. But to leverage the media for what it offers is incredibly valuable. Mm-hmm. And when clients go through my program in Las Vegas, where I guarantee them 4 network television shows to get interviewed live television, it's a game changer for most. They get exposure they would never have. There's credibility of major networks with hundreds of millions of dollars of brand value associated with it. It's a lot different than being on somebody's YouTube channel. And
yeah, it's basically premium positioning, right? Being in
premium
those channels.
Positioning.
Absolutely.
I'm going to write that down. That's a good one. Premium positioning. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is premium positioning. I'm going to coin that phrase because I learned something new. I love that. That's great. And it's so obvious. Thank you for that. That was perfect.
Absolutely.
Premium position. It is premium positioning. Okay. And when you were able to leverage a real experience of being on ABC television for a 4-minute spot, does that hurt a brand? No, it helps it, because you're now associated with a huge brand. Whether you sell much during your segment is not the point. The point is then to use that to open more doors where you will sell, to gain speaking gigs, to be on podcasts, to be an expert on panels, on live summits, which seems to be the rage today. More so, I mean, live events, live in-person events will always be there. But since the pandemic, live summits where you can sit in front of your computer screen aren't going away anymore. They were a new thing because of the pandemic. It forced that market. But today, both exist, and you have to embrace both. The online world and offline, if you want to be successful. Some people can strictly stay online, but there is a value of meeting, like we're meeting virtually here. But if we met in person, given that you're Latina, we might hug.
Right. We might know for sure we'll hug.
Okay, well, there you go. You see, there's something to the human connection that you can't embrace without an embrace in a physical
absolutely.
embrace.
Yeah. The in-person connection, it's very different than the online. But there's hybrid events now that can help with that barrier, right?
Yes. And when I ran an event on AI on ChatGPT 2.5 years ago, the first one in Las Vegas, hybrid, meaning we sold virtual attendees to attend through Zoom. 263 people paid us $200. That covered our ad spend to put the live in-person people in their seats. And I had ABC television come in and interview me in front of the crowd live. So I positioned that because we were so new, it was newsworthy because we were different. And how do you get on the news? How do you get covered? You become interesting, something interesting, so they are interested.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's worthy of repeating. Be interesting, so the news is interested. Be interesting, so Mariana Dalto interviews you for her podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, you had to look at my one sheet with my credentials, with my feathers in my plumage of my not cockatiel. What's not the peacock?
The peacock. Yeah.
Yeah. The peacock shows his feathers in order to attract the female. And out in the animal kingdom, and certain fish puff up and do all this. Well, you're puffing up. TV credentials allow you to have greater plumage, more beautiful feathers, so you can attract the right clients. It's not a dating game, but it is a dating game.
No, it does help with visibility, with your marketing, with your brand. 100%, I agree with you. Yeah.
So I got into it that way, and then it just developed, and I got into training speakers how to speak, create a message, communicate that message, and sell people from the stage. But the biggest challenge was a lot of these speakers might or might not have had a book, which is an essential if you want to be serious in your niche. And then what's the credential? What else do you have? A book is great credential, and that's great for premium positioning. Thank you, Mariana. And it's also backed up by, it's another huge colorful feather if you've been on a national television show. If you've been on ABC, CBS, NBC, the CW, or Fox, or CNN, one of those big names help push your credibility up.
Yeah, you have a story to tell, and it gives you, absolutely.
And it opens up print publications, online if you want to get covered. Oh my gosh, Mariana was on CBS in Las Vegas. Wow, she's interesting. Let's hear what she has to say. if you submit an article to get covered in Forbes, for example.
Yeah.
And if you've got these credentials, that all starts to snowball. The
It's a
more
media
exposure,
game. I mean, there's
oh,
so many.
100%,
Yeah.
100%, 100% it's the media game. And you've got to play it. If you're going to play to win, play big.
And what about, tell me a little bit, because you lived in 7 countries, different countries,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And hosted shows across multiple cities. So how has this global experience shaped your approach to publicity? How do you bring your own flavor to how you help people?
Well, I've run events in 19 different countries. And in each country, I didn't do this immediately. I was all of a sudden, it hit me like, Mitch, you know television. Why aren't you doing this? So I went to Portugal to speak. I was a keynote speaker at an event for Agora Speakers, which is a competitor to Toastmasters.
Okay.
And Agora, it's a man from Spain that had his first annual conference. So I was the guest keynote speaker to come in and talk. And I said to this man, how about television while we're there to get, oh, do you know how to get television? I said, as a matter of fact, I do. Why don't we have your local news come, since it's the first convention for you? I mean, he was based in Spain, but he has chapters all over the world now. And one of the big ones was in Lisbon, which is the big city in Portugal. I said, why don't we get the TV to come out? And he said, well, how do you do that? I said, I'll handle it. So I reached out, found out, and arranged it. And we had Oasis Television, which was one of the local TV stations in Lisbon, come out and record the event for free, and gave credibility and broadcast, aired the show after recording it, covered me personally because I said, hey, I'd like to get recorded. And I've done that in pretty much, I've run multiple events in Dubai, and I've leveraged I've worked with CNBC over there. I've worked with Dubai One Television and print publications. And if you say you're in one, they have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. They want you because, oh my gosh, if you were on CNBC, you must be interesting.
This is the ultimate marketing shortcut. You're in one and then everyone else wants you.
It snowballs. It's like, oh, you want to date with the pretty girl? Have a friend who's a pretty female. The pretty girl will, oh, he must be special. He's kind of fat, but there must be something special about him. Why? How do I? Oh, I got to ask him to dance. And then others want to ask you to dance because it shows that you're something. Because if you don't do anything, you're nothing.
Yep.
You have to do something to be someone of interest, someone unique. And this is the kickstart. A lot of people, well, how do you get started? How do you get into this? Well, you got to craft your message. You got to get media trained. It's easier than you think, but it isn't easy.
Yeah, there's always a process, a way to get it done.
You got to get it done. To start a podcast, how difficult was it to start your first podcast? Now it's just like slicing warm butter.
Right, but in the beginning, it takes time until you figure out what you're doing, and
like anything, it's like getting on a surfboard was challenging for me in the beginning, but after a while,
it's all about practice.
It's all you practice until it becomes second nature.
That's right.
And same with media. Once you learn the game, it becomes easier. You have to, then you'll know what steps, and it's all about creating the right hook. And I would love to share what media booking agents look for.
Okay.
Number one is to save their jobs.
Yeah.
Save their jobs. Let's just say Judy. Because most of them are women who are the booking agents. Very few men are in that position. So I'm picking gender based on my experience. So Judy is the booking agent. She loves her job. She graduated from broadcast journalism from a credentialed university. And she went through the formal training. Now, what do you start? Is the proverbial mailroom, the entry-level job. You might be booking the right guests for the producer. The producer ultimately, she makes the decision to say yes or no. A lot of the producers are females that I work with. So I'm just saying that's the lineage in the television world. So Judy Jones, who's the booking agent, is 25 years old. She is absolutely in fear, number one, of losing her job. So that is number one. She's got to make sure that you are the right fit for the show to impress her boss and to save her paycheck. She's got bills from college. So she wants to make sure she doesn't get fired, because there is high turnover in that business if you aren't competent. You better make the job easier for the producer. The producer is responsible to the station manager, and they better have shows with great viewership because they have to answer to the advertisers. Think of it as an economic model, because it is. It's not about whether they like you, whether you've got nice veneers on your teeth, and whether or not you have good perfume when you come into the show. No, it all matters based on, will advertisers spend more money? And that's the ladder. And
yeah, how they make more money. Absolutely.
It's a business. It is a
Yeah.
business. Television, oh, I've got a great idea. How come they're not taking my idea? They've got to sell it. And to grant you space, you've got to make sure, because this is live TV, meaning there are no retakes. You must speak and know when to shut up. That's the biggest part. If you are a motor mouth, you will fail.
Yeah.
You need to know when to stop talking. Your segment is 2.5 minutes to 4 minutes.
It's very short, so you really need to be very,
sound bites, baby.
Absolutely.
And you need to be interesting, you need to be trained, and you need to have a timely product or service. If you're talking about anything AI, it's certainly timely, it's evolving. But when I got on TV with AI, it was easy to get booked, because I did it 2.5 years ago when it was brand new. It was only ChatGPT back then.
Yeah, now there's
you've
so
got
much. That now is
plug-in left
crazy.
everywhere. So if you have something new.
So what's okay, so you got it about these ways to, make sure that you keep the job for the first step in the process. But then,
Right.
So what's the number one mistake that people make when they're trying to get featured on TV? And I'm saying TV versus podcasting because it's very different.
Totally different platform.
Different.
You can mess up on a podcast because most of them are recorded, and you can edit. You cannot edit on live TV.
Plus TV is shorter.
Well, one thing is, how do you get booked? And then what you do once you're booked. You've got to be trained and on point. They might ask a series of questions that you submit, not dissimilar to what we do in a podcast as a host. Because I'm a host like you, but you may go down a rabbit hole, which is an organic conversation. And the same holds true. But remember, the maximum you're going to get covered is 4 minutes. 4 minutes. So if you submit 17 questions, you're not going to get asked all 17 questions in 4 minutes.
No,
and
of course not.
Answer quickly, on point, give the important element or elements of your answer in your answer of the question you are asked. Now, some hosts will shift on you and pivot if they see fit. That is their right as a show host. They are not going to be robots. In most cases, there are good hosts and there are some that aren't as good, but most are well trained. I'm going to say most. Most that I've worked with are professional. It's more common to have good hosts versus bad hosts, because to earn the right to be a host on a major branded television network, you better be good.
Well, because it's also practice. It's also having the right skills.
And doing it over and over again, being ready, knowing how to extract the right information out of a guest, and you need to be prepared and get rid of the ums, right, like, all of these verbal tics need to be bashed out of your brain. They're a time waster, and you don't have time for them. You don't have time. They don't have time for them. and you reduce your perceived value. You don't look as smart as someone that doesn't use those words.
Yeah, yeah. That's why in your process of helping people, you have a
The media
method,
training.
right? A media training that help them avoid all those things that they can't happen.
Well, and you'll also be more intelligent sounding when you're covered on podcasts, which is the exploding platform. It's much easier to be covered on a podcast. And the more podcast interviews you do, the better you're going to be for TV. They work in tandem, yet very different, because you've got to speak in sound bites for a television interview and be ready. And remember, there are no retakes. Live means live.
Right, right.
Live means live. Is your hair done right? Do you have your makeup done correctly? Because there's a shine that exists when lots of lights are on you, and it can be intimidating. A lot simpler than using a ring light, which I'm using to be covered here today as a guest, versus having massive lights that you are almost blinded if you can't see well outside of being
It's kind of
on a
like being
big
on
stage.
stage where you
Big
have the
stage,
lights in
correct.
front of you and you can't see the audience. It's all dark.
Very hard to see the stage.
Yeah.
Very hard to see the cameras. And in some cases, some of the cameras are backed off and they have the lighting, but it's an entirely different experience. It's unique to television, and that the cameras are impressive. They're huge. There is something called a teleprompter, which you read from.
Yep.
The host reads from to give your bio. They can't remember everything about everybody and do it off the top of their chest. No, they read a teleprompter. Today's guest is Mariana Dalto, who hails from Latin America, and she is here to share her experience as a first-class business coach. Mariana, welcome to the show, and then dump right in. So tell me how you got into becoming a world-class business coach, a revenue coach. Boom, you answer in one sentence. It started with blah, 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 blah. That's great. Who have you helped? Oh, I helped Judy Jones. I'm picking on her name again. Judy Jones, who was a single mom with a business she inherited because her husband just passed away. She's a widow, and now she was able to take her losing business into a revenue-producing mammoth that not only is she experiencing coverage for her kids, she's happier and she's profitable. Boom, real short. This is who I helped. Explain it. Then you move on to the next question. Can anybody get in touch with you? Yeah, they can go right. It's almost over before you blink.
I mean, it's so fast.
So fast.
Podcast is not as fast, and even if people are, they have a career on speaking and they do keynote speaking, it's still not even the same either. So it's very
Totally
like to
different.
the point, getting the right message out in those 4 minutes, whatever, the
Well, 4 minutes is the maximum.
okay. Yeah, it could have been less.
Yeah, CBS, Channel 8 Las Vegas, who I work with. They're 2.5-minute spots.
Oh my gosh,
ABC,
it's nothing.
Yeah. ABC, the Morning Blend show in Las Vegas, is 4 minutes live. And then the CW or the Fox is live, and that's usually 2.5 to 4 minutes, depending on what's coming up and how it's going with the host. She'll determine how long you go, because if you don't talk, if you just say, yep, nope, I've had those too. I've seen those. They don't go through my training because I handle mock interviews before I put my name on the line. You cannot show up saying, yep, nope. Is that right? Yep. Oh my gosh. I might as well put needles in my eyes.
So then with your system, what are the 3 top things someone should kind of like prepare today to maybe be ready for media in 6 months or whatever it takes? I don't know how long it takes.
Doesn't even take that long. Doesn't take that long.
Ready.
Here are 3 things that I will say are necessary in order to get booked or make it easier. And you've got to have uniqueness. Have a book. Yes, a book is critical because that's your unique thumbprint. And what's unique about your book If it is just about, I'm a leadership coach and author, great. Are you a leadership using AI tools, which would give you distinction writing this book on leadership? Are you writing about single mothers who are now CEOs? Something distinctive about your book. Number two, what's a trending topic? AI is huge right now. That's the one that comes to mind. What is the trending topic? And if you've written a book which gives you 2 bites at the apple that way, so that's number two. The third is follow a media calendar. Right now, we're getting close to 4th of July, which is a huge celebration in the United States. And if you can have something related to 4th of July, or a summer promotion or something related to the timeliness of your airing, then you get into August and here's what you need to have for back to school, then you are interesting and they are interested in you.
Right. Yeah.
So play a media calendar. What holidays can you work your promotion around? Most people don't think of that, but that's what they live by. I had many clients get covered during Black History Month. They were African American clients, and I had a few Africans, real Africans, who were now living in the United States and wanted coverage. And during that month, so it was incredibly easy for me to get people booked who weren't even authors. I usually like to work with authors, or because that's an easier way to get someone booked, but they weren't authors. But because of their melanated skin, it became easier. And we had to create a unique craft, a new message around them and their uniqueness in their business and what they were doing or their story, because we played the media calendar, Black History Month.
Yeah, makes sense. And then what about you personally? What's the one thing you would have done differently to get your own visibility journey? What now that what you know today?
I would have done it earlier, because the power of leverage of using the media, it takes away a lot of the pain of growth. Now, I learned a lot along my journey, but I would have embraced television a lot earlier than I did and I would have made it happen for myself. I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Right. Well,
and when
that was your journey, right? So everyone goes through their own. Yeah.
Yeah, we all go through, and I found how valuable timeliness was, because during 9/11, I came up with a product, and it was strictly idea came out of my head. I want to put Osama bin Laden's face on toilet paper and put terrorism where it belongs, in your butt, and put his face where it belonged, on my poo. And so I came up with toilet paper with his name on it. And I then sold it around the world. I used a publicist to help me get this message out. I got covered on every news station in Los Angeles during that time, easily. I got covered in newspapers around the world. I got covered on radio stations around the world. Sales that I then dedicated the profits to the American Red Cross, because I tied it to a charitable organization. Timeliness, 9/11 will only happen once, ideally, hopefully.
Yeah.
God willing.
Yeah.
But it was a way for me giving back to my community, to my people. And it was an interesting product because I played on emotions.
Yeah.
I played on the emotions of the American people at that time. Well, people around the world sympathized with what happened with the World Trade Center buildings.
Yeah.
And putting Osama, who was public enemy number one, on toilet paper was a bit funny, but it also put him in the worst possible place, on our butts.
Yeah.
And that was quite insulting.
Wow. Well, that was, well, but it got you the attention that you wanted. So
huge attention quickly. And then here's what is interesting, Mariana. After 6 weeks, my publicity and popularity hit the ground and it never came back. I realized there's a time limit. There is a time limit. This was the lesson learned. It's like when it's hot, you better jump on the train before it leaves the station.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was. I jumped on that train, that's bullet train, and then the bullet train left Osaka, ended up in Tokyo, and then that was it. The train was over. The train ride was over, as in the phone stopped ringing. I had a whole phone room answering and taking orders of this toilet paper around the world.
That oh, wow.
It went from zero. I went from zero to hero to the hero is no more. Superman died.
Wow.
His crypto, it just went whack. And unannounced, unexpected. The publicist, she did know her stuff. She was just about to retire. And I got to say, she was worth her weight in gold because she said, "You will sunset." I said, "Really?" She said, "Oh, yes." She was a woman in her late 60s, knew her. She said, "This will be great. You're going to be very successful. I see it. You've ticked all the right boxes, the timeliness, everything. You will be successful. And then don't take it personally. This is human nature."
That's good.
It's human nature. What's popular today isn't popular tomorrow.
And it's good that you met through her, and then she kind of gave you the key insights that you needed to hear at that point.
Yeah, and
then it wasn't a surprise when that happened.
She managed my expectations.
Absolutely.
Unmanaged expectations results in disappointment.
Yeah.
And our relationship remained solid. When it all concluded, she said, "I told you so." I said, "You were absolutely right." And she said, "I
you respect her for knowing."
100%. She knew her business. And I lasted 6 weeks. And then it was over. And then I had a lot of toilet paper to use. Because I had over-ordered my zealousness. Of
course, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to understand the demand of, based on.
And then I couldn't give it away.
Yeah.
That's what it was hot, where I didn't have enough to where I couldn't give it away. We ended up using it.
Do you still have some left? I hope not.
Oh, somewhere, but it came and went.
Well, this has been super interesting conversation. I love the topic.
It went right to the toilet.
Went right to the toilet. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so Mitch, you have a resource for the audience to leverage specifically. Can you tell us a little bit about that resource so then they know?
Sure. They can book a call with me. If you want to get on television, please don't call and talk to me about your CRM. I'm not the person for that. You're a better person for that. Again, not my expertise. I know how to get somebody positioned for television. If you're interested to vet, and it is a pay-to-play, full disclosure, I don't work for free, but it's a lot less than a traditional publicist. I guarantee television coverage on 4 networks in Las Vegas. Guaranteed. We do it all in 2 days. GetInterviewedGuaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. I know it's going to be in the show notes. That's where you can set up a call. We'll assess your media and see if this is the right fit for you. And again, it's not a CRM discussion. It's not a free consult on how to become more profitable in your business. This is about leveraging and improving your premium positioning and creating that premium positioning.
You got it.
Yeah, and I'm giving you credit for that. That came from my buddy, Mariana Dalto. And if you need that type of positioning, I'm the only publicist I know in America that guarantees it all done in 2 days. Excellent. To get you on 4 channels and to do that. So I don't talk about revenue. I talk about publicity and guaranteeing it so your brand is irrefutably number 1.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Mitch. I appreciate your insights, your expertise. Hopefully the audience, they got the message. They know where to find you. I will put all the information in the show notes for everyone to reach out to you if they're interested specifically for media, nothing else.
All right.
And then, thank you. Anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I just look forward to having you as a guest on my show next time.
I'm excited. Absolutely.
All right.
Well, thank you for the audience for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Mitch.
Okay. Nos vemos.
Bye.